Here are the various pieces of paper, different brands, different masking fluid that I created, and they are now dry. I know it seems like a lot of trouble to go to in order to understand our masking fluid, but if you are new to this medium, it really will help you. The first piece of paper that I tested out was the arches. This is my preferred method of removing masking fluid. See how easily or tricky comes off. First of all, what is left behind. I'm making mental notes. I do think it's advisable after we've done all this to write down little notes so that you can refer to them. This is the silicone applicator. Oh, that's a very solid line, very surprising. It's the Q-tip. Not sure why that is occurring. I don't know whether that was the masking fluid or the paint. Well, that's something that I definitely need to note down. Let's take the rest of this off. Oh, that was using the cocktail stick. Even though I didn't think that was going to work out, you can see it's created quite a fine line. So moving on to the lower half, which was the Jackson's masking fluid. This is the section applied with a brush. And remember I said this particular masking fluid just seemed to be a little bit thicker than the Pebeo. One thing that I do notice when I'm using masking fluid myself is when there is a very raised area, the watercolor will collect in the space, in the crevice almost, and it will create these effects, which can be useful, but it's also something else that need to take into account. This is what we've got so far. It's good comparison. I would say that they do behave quite similar, even though there were different thicknesses, viscosity, let's say. And I can't see much of a difference personally. Starting off, it's the Schminky. You can see where the watercolor has collected inside that area where it was raised, and I'm not sure what was happening here, but let's take it off and see. And it looks like the masking fluid hasn't completely adhered to the paper, and that's why you've got this kind of effect. This was the Pebeo, which just was not flowing. Oh gosh, this is very tricky. This is the Hahnemuhle paper, which is very, very smooth, and this in particular is having difficulty kind of finding grip almost. This is the Molotow. I know it's difficult to see the blue on the blue. Again, oh, this is very, very, very tricky to take off. I'm going to quickly move on to this one because it's the same pens and also this Frisk liner here, and this is the Schminky version, but this is the Winsor & Newton, and this is why it's important to test the papers, because I am not enjoying taking off the masking fluid from this particular smooth Hahnemuhle, so I'm just going to quickly compare it. That came off very easily. Masking fluid coming off easily is definitely going to help you. Oh, that's much better, much, much better. I think with this Winsor & Newton has a bit more texture to it. It's still relatively smooth, but it's definitely an improvement in my personal opinion. So what's this last one down here? This is the Schminky. So that's the Schminky on the Hahnemuhle, that's the Schminky on the Winsor & Newton. That's not too bad. Came off very easily. That's the last section here. Just using my finger there. That's not too bad. Okay, that's good to know. Now we've got the handmade paper here with the SAA and the Jackson's masking fluid. I've never put masking fluid on handmade paper, and I'll be interested to see what happens. Well, All right, I'm not sure if I just tore a little bit there or if there really was a bit of masking fluid there. Let's just carry on. I'm going to slow down how quickly I'm trying to remove this because I do think the paper's coming off. Yeah, I think it is coming off. The lines are okay, but I've got a feeling maybe this area it's going to tear. I can see there was a little tear there, and I do think that was a tear over here. I'm going to carry on with this section here. It was the Jacksons. There we go. It tore right there. I might just use my finger very gently, trying to be as gentle as possible, but I can see that around the edges of some of these that it is tearing. If this was on a piece of an actual artwork that you had spent a lot of time over, I can see how that could be incredibly upsetting. Oh, my fingers are not happy. Yeah, I can feel the paper texture coming off with that bit of masking fluid there. Let's try here. There. Oh, that's just completely torn off. Okay, that's not a good look. I think that the bigger the surface area that you've applied the masking fluid to, the more that it is just tearing. So this is the that's the SAA, and here was SAA, and I wrote Winsor & Newton on top. And again, I'm just going to use my finger, and that's not tearing. It's coming off quite easily, in fact. And that is so important to know, I think, and it's so important to see for yourself and to experience for yourself and to compare. And that's the whole reasoning behind this beginning part of the class. As you can see, I did absolutely loads and loads of test sheets in preparation for this class, so I have learnt a lot about how masking fluid behaves on different papers. This is just one aspect of the masking fluid challenge, but it's a really important aspect. So I want you to make a decision about what papers or paper you would like to use for the next few projects. The paper I'm going to be using for all my projects is the Winsor & Newton. I think it gives me the best results, and I'm able to take off the masking fluid pretty easily. I would love to see your test sheets, so please upload them as part of your class project and share your findings with me. Let me know which brand of masking fluid and watercolour paper you've decided to use for the rest of the 9 days.